So the Sigma grindset on TikTok and Instagram, it's essentially individualism dressed up as masculinity. Wake up at 4 a.m., hit the gym, ignore relationships. It's marketed loneliness with an aesthetic, right? It sounds cool, right? You often hear this as going monk mode in the space, don't you? I'm going monk mode. I'm just focused on me, bro. Now, Dr. Glover, if you ever read Dating Essentials for Men or his third book, Dating Essentials for Men Frequently Asked Questions, he says men are making up excuses to avoid touching vaginas because vaginas are scary, right? There's a lot of guys out there that just make up whatever as a cope to avoid talking to women, essentially is what Dr. Glover is saying there. A lot of guys think that women only like buff guys with money. So in order to avoid talking to women and risking possible rejection, they go monk mode to just focus on going to the gym and getting their money in order. And once they're done doing that, they're still afraid to talk to women because they never worked on the social skills. I had a client like that once. God bless him too. Good dude. He's in a great place now. But we worked together for a couple of years. And every time we would meet, he would want to focus on literally anything except how to have success with women. He finally got to a place where I helped him all areas of his life. And the one thing he originally came to me for was still missing. And no matter what I tried to get him to do, hey, I want you to go out and do X, Y, and Z. I want you to go out and get rejected 10 times. I want you to go, he would avoid all that and just be like, I just really want to focus on my money right now, or I'm just focused on getting to the next level of my career right now. Whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. If that's what you want to focus on, like, let's formulate a plan. And he would get that all lined up and he would take my advice on everything but going and talking to women. And when it finally came down to it, everything was great. He still just wasn't good at talking to women. We finally got him into a great relationship with a woman who thinks he is her world. But it took him a very long time to come to the realization that everything else was a cope for his fear of rejection when it came to talking to women. I just want to pause for a minute and let that sink in for a second, okay? Now, where do these original concepts of alpha and beta and gamma and all the other crap that Vox Day came up with come from? Really came from the model of a wolf pack. Now, there's a bunch of people out there that will cite the wolf study that shows that there are no true real alphas in wild wolf packs or something like that. It all comes down to a family dynamic where the male is typically the patriarch of the pack, and the pack is made up of, of family members. Okay. Who gives a shit? Okay. Who gives a shit, nerd? No one cares about the study. This stuff makes an easy framework to work with when it comes to intersexual dynamics. Besides, when a very dominant masculine man is there, he's very imposing. Like, you can see it, you can feel it, what the we're talking about. Forget the wolf study, okay? Jesus Christ. Did any of you guys see WrestlePalooza this weekend? WWE's WrestlePalooza? You guys seen Brock Lesnar lately? Brock Lesnar must have put on an extra 50 to 100 pounds of muscle since the last time he was on WWE program. The guy's huge and imposing as right? You see Brock Lesnar walk in the room, you're like, the wolf study, bro. No, you're shutting the up because it's Brock Lesnar. Okay. I'm doing the same thing. Anyway, the thing is that wolf packs don't have sigmas. Ironically, the idea of the lone wolf, kind of a myth. In the animal kingdom, lone wolves are often kicked out, wounded, or struggling animals. They aren't cool. They're biologically disadvantaged. I saw a Red Pill Archive article when I was putting all these notes together. And this guy had this romanticized idea of a Ronin. Think of feudal Japan with samurais and, emperors and warlords and all that kind of stuff and ninjas. And there's this concept of a Ronin. And he was like, yeah, Sigma male is he's just like a Ronin, he's a lone samurai out there who's just as accomplished as any other samurai, but he's not a part of, he doesn't, work for a particular warlord or whatever. And I was like, that's bullshit. Ronins were usually disgraced and cast out samurai, and they didn't have the same honor. They were almost disrespected. You know what I mean? Like, being a Ronin wasn't a good thing. It wasn't necessarily a good thing. So Sigma males, they're not breaking free from social hierarchies. They're failing to thrive within the social hierarchies, then rewriting that failure as a philosophy, as a win. Right? They're reframing, right? I talk about reframing a lot. They're turning a negative into a positive, aren't they? But it just goes hand in hand with the title of this episode. They're coping. They're coping. By the way, speaking of lone wolves, did you know that lone wolves often starve, but wolf packs thrive? For the love of God, somebody too sweet me. Guys, we are having our wolf pack hangout, our monthly wolf pack hangout this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Join the pack now, and you can join with a 7-day free trial. Show up, hang out. If you like it, stay in the pack. If you don't, continue being a Sigma male, okay? Oh, man. Nurse Chick says, good morning, gentlemen. Nurse Chick always gets this one.
So naughty.
She is.
I'm going to come.
Oh, believe you me. Jerry, hey, what's up, brother? Erkin says, good day, folks. Ray says, good morning, everyone. Sigma identity allows giving up on a social life without admitting you have just quit. You get me, bro. I consider myself a gamma male. Come on, man. Come on. You're better than that. And then I like that song. Good. Yeah, me too. Gets me juiced up in the morning. So Sigma, I'm arguing, is beta with an ego problem, or at least I'm not just the only one doing that. Going back to this Medium article, they basically were saying that a Sigma male mentality often emerges from bitterness and rejection, not actual independence and competence. And so they went on to say that Sigma males are like a cross between an alpha and a beta male, and that a Sigma male attitude is when a beta male's inferiority complex is met with the arrogance of an alpha male. It is a beta male listening to other beta males who are trying to appear more like an alpha. Does that sound like anybody you know that's ever used the word Sigma? It's basically beta behavior dressed up in swagger and denial. Okay. So like what did Royce say? A greater beta or a lesser alpha, right? They're somewhere in the middle. I would also argue that a guy who self-identifies as a Sigma male is just a beta in denial. Let's be real. Like, most guys calling themselves Sigma aren't mysterious, powerful lone wolves. They're just lonely men trying to cope. Instead of saying, I struggle socially or I feel rejected, they slap the label Sigma male on themselves and call it a strategic lifestyle choice. But the truth is, they're isolated by circumstance, not by intention. Right? They put themselves in that position. They're afraid to go out and talk to people. They're afraid to go make friends. It's hard making friends, man. It's hard for grown men to make friends with other men, right? Most of us, if you think about it, anyone that you think of as your friend is probably a coworker or a former classmate, right? Those are forced friends. You had to get along with those people because you were forced to be there with them for longer periods of time than you're used to. But actually going out and meeting strangers and making them friends and then actually hanging out with them later is so hard for men. It's one of the hardest things for men to do, right? The thing is, they didn't choose solitude from a place of strength. They retreated into it after failing to connect. And calling yourself Sigma, it doesn't elevate you. It just hides the fact that you're avoiding the work. You're avoiding the work of learning social skills, all that kind of stuff.
New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe now.